Hi there, here's your Max again. This time it's another one for the art journal lovers of you. And because it's all about Halloween, I slightly changed the interior here. And I have to admit, all these decorations create a very spooky ambience. But back to the journal. I desperately wanted to use alcohol inks like so many do at the moment. However, I didn't want to change the art journal for that. But the paper in the usual art journals is absolutely not suitable for alcohol inks. And so I had to think about a way to achieve this. And the shaker card effect is just a little goodie on top. So, have lots of fun and off we go! And so I'm using the same art journal as always, leaving one side free in between and covering the next spare page with matte medium gel. However, I'm not doing this as usual, but bringing a larger amount of the gel onto the page with a brush and then pulling it down with a gift card. This is sealing the entire page and giving it a reasonably smooth surface. Although the properties are still not quite as good as with glossy paper, the paper will now grant the alcohol inks to work as expected. And so I'm starting immediately after everything is dry to apply a rich orange. And as you can see, this works just as well as with ready-coated paper from the store. So far, I only have a vague idea of today's page, and therefore I'm experimenting a bit with the typical Halloween colors. Orange, green and red, and I'm also using some gold for some shine. And even if it's looking a bit weird at the moment, no worries, just keep going until you feel fine with it. Very helpful here is some alcohol blending solution that lets the colors run into each other and forms the typical alcohol ink stains. Or you can also use some rubbing alcohol from a spray bottle, which helps to reactivate the colors. And while I'm playing around with the colors and the solvents, a general note. All the supplies I'm using today are listed as usual in the description box below the video. So, just have a look. Well, and then it finally looks like I intended to, and so I'm going over it here and there with one of my favorite text stamps. And then I wanted to see for myself if gold foil really works on alcohol inks as I have seen already from other artists. And I have to say, yes, it really does. In all the places where the ink is still a little bit wet, the foil sticks perfectly well and produces small highlights of golden shimmer. And finally, I'm using some white gesso diluted with water and splashing it all over the page. And so, I'm done with the background. After everything is dry, I'm drawing two rounded lines with a brown ink pen. Since the page is completely sealed, it can be blurred and shaded very well. And so the close-up of a pumpkin slowly takes shape. Here I've cut two differently sized stencils, of which I'm first using the smaller one to sketch two angry eyes onto the page. Then I'm adjusting the contours to match the curves of the pumpkin. And then I'm simply cutting out the eyes. Next, I'm sketching the inner side of the pumpkin's shell to have a guide for the next step. And now it's time to paint the eyes black, and I'm using black acrylic paint for that. Then I'm coloring the lower part with a yellow ink and shading it with a beautiful pumpkin orange. And of course I'm doing that on the other side too. Next, I'm taking these photo sleeves here and using the approximately 1/4 inch larger stencil. Using the fuse tool, I'm sealing the edges around the stencil, leaving a small opening for the sequins. Then I'm cutting off the edges and folding a small funnel out of the cover paper that I already used. This helps me to fill in the sequins, which are in a lighter and a darker red. Afterwards, I'm closing the remaining opening, again with the fuse tool. Well, and then the two pouches can be glued between the pages. For this you want to use an adhesive that really glues acetate permanently together. And then it's time for shading the eyes. Finally, the pages can be glued together so that the pockets are exactly in between. As a contrast to the quite angry-looking pumpkin, I'm stamping a few sunflowers with a layer stamp. And I'm also doing some matching leaves. After fuzzy cutting all the pieces, I'm adhering them onto the page again with matte medium. At the crease in the center, I always like to divide the parts so that they do not buckle when turning over the page. But somehow, together with the flowers, I believe the eyes are getting even more sinister, aren't they? Well, anyway, I'm cutting off the excess parts so that I can still use the leftovers, because these are very well fitting in the empty spaces on the edges. And then I'm shading all parts with the ink pen to give them a little bit of dimension. As always, a few highlights with the gel pen should not be missing. For today's saying, I have selected a suitable font on the computer and printed it several times just for security reasons. Because to match the background, I'm also covering it with a thin layer of matte medium and then coloring it with the alcohol inks again. And I love playing around with them. Next, I'm cutting out the best pieces and sticking them around the eyes. I'm doing this today with double-sided foam tape, so that the strips are standing out a little bit.
And now we can start shaking, and the sequins are moving very nicely in the small pockets. And of course, I have some pictures for you, so that you can see the colors a little bit better.
Well folks, and that's it for today. I hope you had fun and got inspired. And if you did, then please like, comment and share this video. And if this is your first time here at Color Your Life, then I would love to have you subscribe. And if you additionally click that little bell, you will be immediately notified as soon as a new video is uploaded. And if you like more inspiration, then I have here and here some other proposals for you. Just click on the vids to play them right away. Well, then there is nothing more to say than thank you so much for watching and hope to catch you next time again. Bye bye!